Starting off this game, we each keep a 7-card hand, and Braxton starts us off. First time around the table is a Grey Havens, followed by a Mosswort Bridge hiding away 4, a Daily Bugle building, and then an Exotic Orchard suspending an Ancestral Vision. Our second time around the table was a Forest for a Gruul Signet, a Twisted Landscape getting a mountain, an Island for Norman Osborne, and finally, a Ferris Lake and Pets. Braxton starts his turn by playing a Plains and casting Preston the Vanisher. On Jeremy's turn, he plays a Swamp and passes. Judson has to play a Tap Sunken Hollow and hits Jeremy for 1, conniving away a Morbius living vampire. On my turn, I take down the Ancestral Vision, play a Mountain, and I cast Professional Facebreaker. Turn 4, Braxton starts off by playing a Forest, casting Ruby, casting his commander, putting a counter on Ruby and his commander, then hits Jeremy and Judson for 2. Jeremy starts off by playing Woodland Cemetery, casts Rampant Growth, and passes. Judson starts out by playing an Unstable Experiment, drawing a card, putting a counter on his commander as he connived, discarding a Stegron, Dinosaur Man, and then hitting Braxton for 3. Conniving again, discarding a Gravebreaker Lamia. On my turn, I play a Plains, then I cast a Flamekin Herald, and then hit Judson for 2. Braxton starts off, plays a Plains, and then casts Arbaz Mir. When he enters, and another Historic enters, he deals 1 to each opponent, and he gains 1 more. He then follows up with Dorek, opting to search for his forest at the end of turn. He then hits Jeremy for 2 with Preston, then hits Judson for 2 with Mile. On Jeremy's turn, he plays a Forest and casts Venom. On Judson's turn, he draws, plays a Spymaster's Vault, hits Braxton for 4 unblockable Commander, drawing and discarding with Connive, discarding an Izzet Signet, flipping his commander, and casting the Izzet Signet for free. My turn starts off by resolving the Ancestral Vision, drawing 3 cards. I play a Mountain and cast Ghost Spider. I cascade into an Izzet Signet, and then I hit Jeremy for 2, Judson for 3, and Braxton for 4. Second main, I use 3 of my 4 treasures, and tap my Izzet Signet and cast Interdimensional Web Watch, exiling a Cascade Bluffs and a Time Warp. On Braxton's turn, he plays a Forest, transforms Miles, and attacks Ruby and Dorek at Judson and Miles at me, transforming Dorek on attack to pump his board. I take 8 and Judson takes 12. On Jeremy's turn, he casts Junji the Midnight Sky and attacks me with Venom. On attack, he sacrifices Junji, making each of us discard 2 cards and lose 2 life. He then draws 5 cards and puts in a Decanter of Endless Water. Judson plays a Desolate Lighthouse. He casts Hydro Man, casts Pumpkin Bombs, tapping it immediately, discarding a Patrician Geist and a Hobgoblin, passing it to Jeremy, dealing 1 to him, and draws 3 cards. He then casts the Patrician Geist, and he passes the turn. I start by playing Cascade Bluffs from Exile, forgetting to put a counter on Ghost Spider, cast Outpost Siege, choosing Cons, and Belt Orca. I then hit Braxton for 4 Commander and Jeremy for 2, making 2 treasures. Braxton, plays Monumental Henge, activating it, revealing Torsten, founder of New Benalia. At the beginning of combat, Judson remembers that Hydro-Man is a land, reminding Braxton that Doric flipped on upkeep. He then moves to combat and sends Ruby and Doric at Jeremy, hitting him for 15 after transforming Doric, and Miles at me, hitting me for 10 commander. He then passes the turn. Being far too hasty on his turn, Jeremy starts out by playing Reliquary Tower and attacking immediately with Venom, forgetting that he was in the middle of casting Protean Hold, which then he sacrifices, searching up a Ravenous Chupacabra Spider Manifestation, killing Doric, and then he draws his cards and put in Zeatora the Incinerator. He then sacrifices the Ravenous Chupacabra, forgetting to shoot anything for the damage, but makes the treasures. While Jeremy trauma dumps about Marvel Rivals Venom, Judson starts off by casting a Ghostly Pilferer. Next he discards with a Ghostly Pilferer a Mad Lands and plays it worth its madness cost. He then discards and casts from his graveyard a River Kelpie. Then with his 1 red floating mana, he discards and casts Ultimate Green Goblin, finishing his turn off by casting Black Cat and stealing 2 cards from Braxton. My turn starts out with me playing an island, putting a counter on Ghost Spider, casting a Tolly, hitting Braxton for 5, and finishing off with the 12th Doctor. Starting his turn with the Ringheart Crest, Braxton then goes into Torsten, revealing Argus, Safi, Layla Hassan, and Lorna the Third Path. I then offer a chump block with Bell Borka against his Preston so he can double his counters. Jeremy begins his turn by playing Soul Ring into Skullspore Nexus and then activating his hideaway land, flipping over a Warstorm Surge. He then casts Atsushi before immediately sacrificing him to Venom during combat, drawing 4 cards, putting into play an Aggravated Assault and making 3 treasures. Judson offers a fair trade with River Kelpie and Black Cat. Unsatisfied, Jeremy pumps him with a Skullspore Nexus. In response, Judson hits it with a Path to Exile. After combat, he replays Venom, shooting Judson for 5, and then sacrifices him to Zeatora, shooting him for another 5 and making 3 treasures, but also casting Undying Malice on Venom, reanimating him and finishing off Judson. Starting my turn, I exile 2 cards from the top, being the Castle Ardenvale and Aminachu's Augury. I then play the Castle Ardenvale and then cast Aminachu's Augury, demonstrating it to Braxton. Off my first Aminachu's Augury, I hit Plains, Soul Ring, Fortune Teller's Talent, and Ensnared by the Mara. Off the Ensnared by the Mara, I hit Aurelia the War Leader and Web of Life and Destiny. Off of his Aminachu's Augury, Braxton hits Samwise Gamgee of Plains, Day of Destiny, and Eldamri's Call. He later searches up with Eldamri's Call and Anzrag the Quake Mole. My second Aminachu's Augury gets me a Clifftop Retreat, Boros Signet, Quintorius Loremaster, and Dance with Calamity. My Dance with Calamity hits Reality Shift, Ryan Sinclair, and Headliner Scarlet. Reality Shift exiles Zeatora. I then discard a Spine Rock Knoll to retrace from my graveyard Throes of Chaos, cascading into a Path to Exile, removing the Spider Manifestation. I then cast a Caves of Chaos Adventurer and move to combat. Notably this combat, I only need to attack with Aurelia the War Leader and Ghost Spider, as both of them are really large. I end up attacking with a Tolly, flipping a card off everybody's library, hitting a Mana Rock, and Kodama, and then one other card that doesn't matter so much.
Anyways, you have a 18. Oh, 3 more counters. 1, 2, 3. You have a 21/21 Ghost Spider in the air.
Yeah,
6/6 Atali and 3/4 Aurelia, and then I get to attack you next.
And I have no flying or reach, so
4 responses, I assume?
no.
Oh, thank God.
Got creatures in hand, so.
Alright. Jeez. Yeah.
Take my hand.
I'd like to thank you all for joining us this week for our game of Flip Commanders from Spider-Man. I'd also like to thank our 2 placeholder players, Braxton and Judson, for being able to come in on such short notice. Personally, I love these commanders. The Miles Morales deck didn't do so much this time because it wasn't really a counters deck, it was a Naya Legends. Maybe next time we see him around, he might be a counters deck. Norman Osborn didn't do nearly as much this game as he has in previous games, and Venom did a lot of work going into the mid-game. Finally, the Ghost Spider deck didn't really do anything until it ripped the Aminatu's Augury off the top, which kind of left a feels bad moment for our players, as it kind of won out of nowhere. Her having Flying Vigilance and Haste is quite a menacing combo of abilities. Though I miss a few +1/+1 counter triggers, I ended up counting 19 spells from Exile, but I only ended up with a 21/21 power Ghost Spider. Once again, thank you all for joining us today, and remember, stay gold.